Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Vashawn Jones, and I have actually this time made my cup of coffee. There's my cup, my favorite cup. I think I got it in the picture. You know, it's crazy being blind, but this cup of coffee really represents a lot. There's my coffee pot on the stove again. It really represents a lot in my business because I remember my humble beginnings, and I'm gonna just kind of walk around because that's what I do. I remember my humble beginnings, and it started at 349 Decatur Street Southeast, and it was the condos, and I stayed on top of different businesses. So there was a tax preparer, a corner store, a dry cleaners, barber shop, hair salon, nail salon, a bar, a comedy club, and Marleys Coffee. And every morning at 7 o'clock, I would be at the front door and I would grab a cup of coffee and I would sit down and I would plan and strategize what is now Fedora Outlier LLC over a cup of coffee in this coffee shop. And I remember I would get chicken salad sandwiches on croissant and tomato basil soup. And his wife, and Gary was the owner, but his wife would just, Betty was her name, is her name, would just make the most amazing desserts. And they had a pretty good lunch with their brisket sandwiches and things of that nature. But every morning I would definitely have a cup of coffee. And at the time when I moved in to the Pencil Factory, which is the name of the actual condos, I didn't drink coffee, but the generosity and the entrepreneurship that Gary and Betty and his son showed was just amazing. They were just starting in business, and I was just starting my business, and we would have different business owners come through and discuss various practices. And I just remember being able to pick their brains and get the best advice from amazing entrepreneurs. And it was a great time. And so when I began to form my team, we had one common thread. All of us drunk coffee. So it's like six of us. And I'm like, okay, so every Monday we meet virtually, every single Monday. And we've been meeting for 4 years. So it's, and then, our side meetings. So we've had over 300 meetings over cups of coffee. And we started the coffee break, and that's what we called our Monday morning meetings. That's what we call them, our coffee breaks, and it's built into our DNA. Every Monday we have a coffee break, and we sit down and we discuss the business and where we want to go and how we want to get there, what tools we're going to get, and what resources we're going to tie into, and what people we can get to help us. And it's through that virtual team collaboration that once we actually get together physically as a team, the chemistry is just turned up by 10. And I literally have people that have worked for us for years that I've never seen before. And I mean that both literally and figuratively. Of course, I'm blind, I've never seen them. But individuals in Canada and just all over the world. And those humble beginnings at that coffee shop, Marley's Coffee and Tea. Actually, I think it was Marley's Coffee and Tapas, and it was named after his granddaughter, Gary's granddaughter. And so those humble beginnings has us to the point that we are now, changing the world literally over a cup of coffee. So I'm gonna grab my cup of coffee and take a sip and give you the typical but very much real, let's change the world take a sip of coffee, and let's change the world together.